It's 5 o'clock, and I'm calling the regular board meeting of the Ross Valley Sanitary District to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Director Meggs?
Here.
Director Silla?
Here.
Director Kelly?
Here.
Director Gaffney?
Here.
Director Borstein?
Yes, here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please join me in pledging allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm now going to adjourn to closed session. Good evening. I'm going to now reconvene the regular board meeting of October 15th to open session. And I'm going to report on the action of the board, which is that we did a general manager review and discussed his contract changes. That is item 13. So we'll go over the details of that at item 13. Okay. May I have a call for approval of the agenda, or do we want to move anything around?
I moved the agenda.
You got to have your mic on, but yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The agenda is approved. At this time, I'm calling for any public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom? There's seeing nobody in the room. I'm going to move on to number 8, committee and representative report out. First one, Finance Committee, Tom.
Okay, wait, need this on. Finance Committee. So the Finance Committee met yesterday. We approved we accepted the financial report, and we're in great financial shape. We're in a time of low revenue until December, but we've got sufficient money to carry on, of course.
And that's how it happens every year.
Every year, as expected, yeah. We reviewed the task order for integral consulting for CEQA compliance. And these costs are going up, but the Fairfax Capacity Creek crossing, which we'll talk about, there's a bunch of creeks, and it's, maybe some, there's a lot of work there involved. And then we also approved the change order, which wasn't very hard with Glossage, because the change order is for minus $250,000. And
That was passed unanimously. I'd like to.
It's because I paid my bill.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Okay.
and that was it.
Did pay my
Thank
bill.
you very much. North Bay Water, Pam?
Yes, I'm going to be brief, and then Michael wanted to add to it. We met on October 10th. It's about 24 folks, mostly elected and managers, and 4 from the public for 2 hours. We had a presentation by Michael, oh Lord, how do you say it? Thiel, Executive Director of Apis or Borreo. And this was all about bees. It was about industrial beekeeping and its impacts on wild honeybees and native pollinator communities. We also, what?
It's on.
What?
Send it on, then send it off.
I'm going to move on. The small grant and scholarships program is now launched, and we have 12 recipients, and a lot of it is for education, which is just remarkable. We did an amazing job, and it all came together. I was sort of worried a lot off and on over the last few months, but it's fabulous. And here I'm going to pass down the finalized awardees. I'm hoping that maybe they could do little short videos and we could show some here. And if, by the way, if any of you want to possibly have an item on our agenda, please let me know or Michael know, or I can get you in touch there, because Michael recently brought this presentation, or helped to bring it, on the beekeeping. Okay, you're on.
Some time ago, Jason came to the board and said, what did we think about a local apiary coming and parking 92 beehives at the very southeast corner of Central Marin Sanitation Agency, which is unused, and it's just sort of wildflowers out there. And it seemed to everybody that what a great idea. Let's go park some bees out there. And it's very cool if you ever have a chance to go out there. It looks like a very busy air traffic control center with bees flinging themselves in and out. But they don't just come there to use our flowers. They come there to allegedly rest and get ready to go do their real work, which is to go to the Central Valley and pollinate almond orchards. And it seemed like a great idea. And, they gave us each a little jar of honey. And then I heard last spring, this guy talking, Michael, I forget his last name, from the apiary place, and talking about, well, maybe it's not actually the best, that farmed bees can actually cause damage to the wild bees that are out there that live in trees and other places. So I began to think maybe that's something that we should hear about. And, I don't know that we should do anything out here. I want to hear from this guy. I'm going to talk to him and say, what about our particular place? Because his whole idea is you shouldn't have any farm bees doing any work for the agriculture business. And I say, well, what's the alternative? Because if you don't have bees to pollinate, you don't get almonds. And what's the upside and downside to that? So it's something to be thought about. But he brought up some things that just floored me that I didn't know. And living in this area here, and we go to, Andronicos and Molly Stones and all the fancy little stores that all have locally grown honey, farmers markets all over the place. That's great. 90% of all of the honey in the United States, or what says it's honey, comes from China. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. 90% of all honey in the United States comes from China. The majority of that, and there's no way to know how much of it, gets brought in through Brazil, Argentina, and other places. And it is brown sugar water that has been relabeled in other countries, and there's no way to trace it back. And it has nothing to do with honey. It's just corn syrup, brown sugar, and other things. And that's the majority of what you see. If you go to Safeway and it doesn't say where the honey came from, it's likely it came from China.
Well, wait a minute. Wouldn't it have to say product of China on the bottle?
It might say product of Argentina, but it doesn't say where it came from, where it was sourced, and when it got relabeled. Anyway, I sent
It's interesting.
Felicia, who sent to everybody the PowerPoint presentation of that, and I think it's worth a read. And at least if you do nothing else, when you go to buy honey, go to the farmers market or Whole Foods markets or one of the other ones where you're absolutely sure where it came from. And maybe when this comes up in the future, I'll see if I can get this guy to come and give a presentation to CMSA, and maybe these people can go park their bees somewhere else. Or maybe he'll say, where it is here, on the corner of 580 and Sir Francis Drake, maybe there's not a whole lot of wild bees going on, and they don't generally go much more than 300 or 400 feet from their hives is my understanding. So maybe it's not hurting, but it's be interesting to know because we're supporting that.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Central Marin Sand, who's going to do that one?
Well, we had the meeting last night, and first it was open session, and not a whole lot to report there. I'm happy to say that we gave ourselves a giant raise that's going to change our lives dramatically. We went from $200 to $225 per meeting.
I noticed that Las Colinas raised their rate for $300 a meeting, and they have 2 meetings a month.
Yeah, so
Insurance, health insurance.
Really?
Yeah, they get some kind of, yeah.
You got to talk to your mic.
Mike.
From your mic to my ear.
Sorry. And they get some kind of funds. I don't know how it's done for insurance, health insurance.
Oh, they just get health insurance paid. Wow.
Because it was in closed session, which we talked a little bit about what was going to be the next steps for the 5-year strategic plan. And the way that works over there is it doesn't really have anything to do with the board. He meets, and he actually said he gets 11 of his personnel together, and they meet. And I suggested, gee, for my edification, it might be interesting to go and just listen in. He said, nah, he'd rather really that not happen, because they might get frightened that why is a board member here and be thinking bad things. He said he doesn't even go to them. He goes over it once they're done, but he wants them to talk openly, without keeping any secrets amongst each other. And he doesn't want to feel like if he's there, they're not going to say something. And that's probably a reasonable thing. And so as long as they do their thing and bring it back, and I think they've done a good strategic plan. And if they talked about in the past, they've hired a consultant, Gabrielle Pla, and they didn't think it was necessary this time that we have the tools in place. But if the committee decides that they need to have a consultant, they'll bring her in or somebody. And then there was a closed session, but we discussed that, and we certainly can't do that in open session here.
All right. Thank you very much.
And the item 11, which was about the allocation charges thing, because that was in closed session, they moved it.
Okay. All right. CMSA ad hoc.
We didn't have any meetings,
When are you meeting next?
the 28th of this month.
Thank you. Okay. Verbal report by general manager.
Yeah, thank you, President Kelly. A few items. This week, we began the 980 schedule here at Ross Valley, and that I always struggle to exactly explain what that is, but it's everybody works here 9 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and one Friday they do 8 hours, and then one Friday off. So that's why it's 9. There's 10 days in a normal 2-week work plan. So the alternating Fridays, we've worked out a system where we're always open to the public. And so it's like we have half staff, and we have our operations team all on one of the Fridays, because they're out getting work done and make sure all the crews are intact. So we didn't split up the operations group, which is about 2/3 of our employees. So we're beginning that process, and it went pretty smoothly so far, but it's just getting started this week. And so this Friday will be the first off day of the schedule going forward. And then we're going to review that in a year, just to confirm that we're getting the work done we need to get done and that it's working out for everybody. So,
Do the supervisors do the same thing?
yes.
Okay.
Brief comment about that. Fairfax closes every Friday. So if you don't get what you need, you have to wait 3 days. So thank you for doing this. Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's, important. And also we have some practicalities in terms of other utilities needing us to mark our utilities. It's expected to be done 5 days a week. And another issue is our contractors doing capital work. They're out there 5 days a week. And so we need to have an ability to check in with that work. Yeah. Thank you for that comment. So my next item, I emailed you earlier, but I've got some handouts. This was a really lovely magazine article. Oh, yeah. That was in the CSDA, California Special Districts Association monthly magazine, because we were the recipients of the Public Outreach Award. We talked about that last month. And
Thank you.
I would just make the comment that being in this newsletter, this monthly magazine, it really has a wider circulation maybe than any of the magazines or periodicals we've been featured in before, because it's for special districts. And it's really, I think, something special to be and new for us to be recognized by this statewide organization as a model special district, not just a sanitary district. Next item, you mentioned, or I think we've been talking about the RVSD way. We've been doing our culture initiative for about 4 years. And so we celebrated an anniversary here on September 21st, this last month. And all staff made sure they didn't make plans to be away. So we had 100% attendance. And we refreshed our culture initiative, spending 3 hours with Rob Wolf of Culture Wise, who helped us kick this off. And in our new refreshed program, we added some fundamental behaviors. So this new booklet has these new behaviors that I'll read to you. But another aspect of our refresh was to think about how we could use this system to recognize employees. You know how organizations have employee of the month or employee of the year or that sort of thing. And we want recognition to be rooted in those who exhibit these type of behaviors, because if we all act like in these ways in our work and how we interact with each other, we will be a high performing organization. And so a culture committee has been formed. Christina Winicky, our clerk, has volunteered to lead it. And it really is going to be structured to recognize exemplary behaviors in staff and have an employee recognition program. I wanted to point out, this is the booklet. We have 26 fundamental behaviors that we want to encourage, and we talk about them once a week. We feature one, and 26 is a good number because it's half of 52, and that's the number of weeks in the year. So we can go through 6 months of weekly featuring the behavior of the week. And there were some modifications to our existing fundamentals, but the new ones start kind of at the end. And so we added number 23, show the way. This idea of leading through action, whether you're mentoring others or stepping up for tough tasks, handling the little things that matter. Set the bar high and let your effort define how excellence looks. Be the teammate you want to be by your side. So that's to show the way is the new one. Honor the details. And oh, by the way, we came up with these as a group. All the supervisors got together, looked at possible additions and agreed on these. And it was a very robust discussion. And honor the details is really that those details matter. And a lot of our work really relies on paying close attention to the little things. And don't aim to finish, but finish flawlessly. Attention to detail builds trust and inspires others to do the same. And then finally, another new one is be a responsible steward, number 25. Make decisions and act in the best interest of the public. Be a responsible steward of their time, resources, and trust. Really getting to the heart of being a public servant and the work we do day in and day out. So, and it was great. We had 100% attendance and everyone had a great time. So wanted to celebrate that. Finally, on September 24th, I just wanted to let the board know I attended a tour of the sampling locations with all of the JPA managers. And I'll just suffice to say it was a productive discussion. It really was illuminating about how the old sampling locations for determining treatment cost allocation on the two interceptors for Ross Valley, which is combined San Quentin, SD2 and Ross Valley, and then the San Rafael interceptor. The old sampling locations were at about 5 o'clock on the cross section of a pipe. So it was pulling in the lower area, portion of the wastewater that had more solids. And so that we saw how it got changed to 3 o'clock. Then we went to the SD2 and the San Quentin sampling sites. At SD2, the pipe was sampled at 12 o'clock. So it was pulling off the clear fluid off the top with less solids, less organic matter. So we all agreed it made sense to move the sampling port, put a saddle on, and drill a new port in at 3 o'clock to match RVSD and SRSD. Then we went to San Quentin. We saw that there was a tube in the wet well, but there's 2 wet wells. So it was just sampling half of the wastewater influent and taking it off the top again, like SD2. We went inside the pump station and saw that actually there was a sampling port there for the combined flow on the force main, just like at SD2 and the interceptors. So we all agreed it could be moved to from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock and sample just like we sample at those other locations. So it was actually a very productive discussion. And glad to report that. And that I'm working with the JPA managers to sort of finalize their concurrence with our recommendations for improving the documentation of the treatment cost allocation process. So just wanted to let you know that meeting happened.
That's excellent. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing how the flow changes in the coming months.
Yeah, the work has to still be done to
Right.
change the port sampling location.
When do you think that work will be completed?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but
Okay.
we all concurred it should happen.
Okay, thank you.
All 4 of us.
Excellent.
Didn't you get some feedback from the manager as well? We're not sure that they're not going to go to flow. And now you can say, no, they've decided, this is what we want to do. So let's do it right.
Yeah, so that's the last of my reports. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, consent calendar, matters listed here are generally routine and will be acted with.
Wait, item 10, the verbal report by board members.
Oh, thank you very much.
Mhm.
We'll report by board members and any requests for a future agenda item?
No.
Yeah. No, okay.
Just
Thank you very much.
much.
Okay, consent,
All
let's get
about
back to
process.
consent. Matters listed here are considered routine and will be enacted with one motion. But anybody may pull something. Does anybody wish to pull anything?
Yeah, I'd like to pull E and have Steve kind of run us through the project. It's a very interesting project. And
Okay,
no, actually, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
With the-
okay. Anybody else want to pull anything?
No.
No, okay, so go ahead, Steve.
Okay, sure. I can do this and I won't go on and on, but we did discuss 11E at the finance committee in
Right.
great detail. But it turns out I actually did talk about this project because we technically completed it. The construction phase was over last board meeting. So I did give a verbal report on some of the details of why it was special. And, I have it right here, but so the Palm Man Cypress project is almost 2 miles of sewer for a low bid of about $3.5 million. And it was done in response to when we learned that the county of Marin changed their paving plan for a certain area that we knew was a high INI area, infiltration inflow of stormwater and groundwater. And we had to pivot quickly to meet the challenge of getting these sewers rehabilitated before that paving project was constructed. And so we changed the capital program. We added a new project and we got a designer that was already working for us on another project to add scope to do more design and gave them a very challenging timeline to complete it alongside other work they were doing for us. And they agreed and did it. And we got it out to bid timely enough and then completed construction by September 12th. And so this item is the notice of completion. Well, since September 12th, we went down and did the math and did all of the tallying. And there's a detailed memorandum dated October 9th. It starts at board packet page 54. If you really want to dig into the details, it's table 1. Then on the next page 55 shows, we added $200,000 to the job. So we actually increased a certain element because we came across so many abandoned sewers.
How many?
62. So, you can see the bid quantity that went out to bid. We assumed we'd come across 5, which is typical frequency at this level. we came across 62 pipes that went into our sewer system, but ended in the dirt. And we're just taking shallow groundwater, and in Kentfield, which is, as we all talk about, the highest rainfall area in the Bay Area, you have saturated soils that are kind of high up. And so you have groundwater year round that's going into the sewers there. And then, of course, when it rains, then you get shallow groundwater that increases in 62 different locations in this small neighborhood. So I was pointing out to board members that, skipping ahead, if you look at the flow data that went to the treatment plant that's in our metrics report on board packet page 124, you'll see in September of 2025, we had 39% of the influent flow to CMSA. We've never been below 40. We reached 40 for the first time a couple of years ago, and the last time we got 40 was October 23. And we dropped from 41 to 39 between August and September at the same time that we discovered and sealed off these abandoned laterals. So it was very gratifying to see that, possible causation. It's a correlation, and there's a possible causation. And we have smart covers monitoring downstream of this project area where we have data going back many years, and we can look at and see if it has dry weather and wet weather impacts on water levels. So we will be doing that. And as I told the finance committee, there really are two reasons why this project is so exceptional and I think worthy of a project award and some recognition. So we are going to apply to different organizations for potential recognition. There was two reasons. One was project delivery, our ability to get the team together and deliver the project before the county paved. They're out there and they're still not quite going. They got some curb and gutter in at this point here on October 15th, but we got it done ahead of time when we needed to.
Under budget.
And then, yes, right. As you pointed out, there's a negative sign in front of the change order, $263,000 under budget. And we also were 2 weeks ahead of schedule. And so it's under budget, ahead of schedule, very challenging window to meet. Took all of our team members working hard. It was just not, it was everybody had to work together, including the contractor. And so number one, project delivery was exceptional. And then number two, measurable outcome. As I point out with the graphs, this may have had a significant impact on our dry weather flow to the treatment plant. And then we're kind of excited to study our system this winter to see if we can see a change, and then we could put that together in our package. Hey, we can try to get recognition for it, but also we can submit abstracts, to conferences and that sort of thing, and present the results of the measurable outcomes. So we see this as a really nice infiltration inflow story to tell. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Any other questions?
No, and thank you, Tom, for pulling that, because that's important for everybody to understand.
We also save money on paving, because that was one of the interesting things, is that the county was reasonable in not making us do traditional repaving at the end. So we save some money relative to the bid on paving.
Because they're going to pave anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion on the
I'll move
consent?
the consent calendar.
Okay. Second.
I'll move for a second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay. Consent passes. Thank you all very much. The next item on the agenda is considering the accepting of the year-end metric report for fiscal year 24-25.
Yes. Interestingly, on this one, I like to use the staff report as kind of a guidepost on the highlights on our annual metrics. We've been recognized for some time now as a collection system that closely tracks our performance metrics and use them to ultimately try to achieve a lower spill rate, which is challenging in our high rainfall, older, lower diameter system with many easements and et cetera. This is more positive trends to report. And I actually want to encourage the board, if you had a chance to look at the report, if you have some questions about some specific metrics. One of the things I point out in the staff report is that it's interesting because the flow, it still is coming down in the dry weather, but actually wasn't reaching as low points, as of June, because this is the study period here is July to June, right? So we saw that dip after we did that project I just talked about, right? But we only got down to about 41% as a low this past year. So that was interesting. And then the length of pipe maintained, there's a story behind that. And, Paul's here, he can attest to this. But while we had a lower length of pipe maintained, we still exceeded what the CMMS tells us is the minimum length to meet all of our frequencies, whether it's 6-month lines or annual lines or 3-year lines. We had a 600,000 foot minimum, and we had over 700,000 feet, but it still wasn't the million feet you've seen in past years. Well, why is that? There's a few factors, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we were falling behind in work. It means that it's the old work smarter, which is one of our behaviors, in the culture plan. It's work smart. And I think, we're using data to be more targeted. As we've talked about, cleaning for cleaning's sake can be detrimental. If you're cleaning clean pipe, you're wearing and tearing it, you're creating wear and tear that you otherwise don't need to. So this year we did the high frequency cleaning initiative. We removed over 100 lines from that list. And so that reduces the length of pipe maintained. Also, we focused this year on large diameter pipe, something we hadn't really done much in-house. And it's more effort, more hours of staff time per foot to do a larger diameter pipe. There's more debris to manage. And so actually by doing the high frequency initiative and reducing the high frequency lines, getting out, twice a year, sending our staff out to the same line, we freed up time. We estimate maybe 5 extra days and 5 extra miles that we can do every year because of this initiative, and 16 extra days that we have available of crews. So we took this extra resource, staff resource this year, and put it into large diameter cleaning, which really is good for, managing risk and extending the length of our infrastructure's life. So related to that is the footage of pipe cleaned unnecessarily. Something it's kind of an interesting metric, but and that's figure 13, page 18. I don't mind kind of spending a little time on this one because it's sort of a so that would be board packet 87. And anytime you see a graph like this and there's a precipitous decline, that's what catches my attention. I need to explain this to the board and the public, why and what does it mean? This is this cleaning efficiency, the paragraph that precedes it. But this is the idea that, we're collecting data every time we clean a pipe, and we categorize it if it's, if it's clear or if it's light or heavy or moderate is one of the things too. And we train our staff on how to make those calls in the field, so this isn't, they just don't wing it. We as part of our competency training, we go over this. And so we want to not clean pipe. That's what's behind this metric. And so based on those things that we're collecting, we feel like we really made a difference this year of not over cleaning our pipe. And I think it's partly due to our high frequency length reductions, So this is getting back to why we won an award from CASA, is using our CMMS data to guide decision-making. And then this is an example of a metric we can use to say, hey, it's working. We're cleaning less clean pipe. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me through that long explanation. But you can read more about it in the metrics report there. Other things, obviously, if you just stay on the same page, the graph below also has a manifestation of our targeted cleaning. Potential future spills prevented. That's that figure 14 there at the bottom of the page. And you see that that's dropped. That could cut both ways. You want to prevent a lot of spills, right? You'd like to have that number up for that reason. But If you have a lower number, that means you're running into less blockages and that your preventive work is better, or your targeted frequencies are better. So that was a big drop as well. So
Well,
worth discussing.
The big drop is page 97 of the board packet.
Right. Well, then that's the, or is 98, I think. Yeah.
97.
Okay. Sorry if
Maps,
the
yeah.
Yeah, the page 29 of the metrics report, which I'm seeing is board packet 98, has the
Oh.
graph of spills.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
And this is interesting because I saw that, in the last 3 years, we've had 9, 8, and then 9 this last year, right? But not all spills are created equal.
Mhm.
And in 2022, the State Water Board in this program, regulatory program, defined a new category of spill, category 4, which is a very small spill that doesn't have a water quality impact, 50 gallons that doesn't reach surface water. And they're not required to be reported right away because they're just not significant from an environmental standpoint. So if you look at this last year, while we might have had technically one more spill, 4 of them were very minor, and really only 5 were of any, moderate or significant concern. So we continue to have the downward trend, through our preventive work. Our goal to meet the state standard, which we think is a little unreasonable for us because we're special. We have low diameter, old pipe, high rainfall, and all that. Set all those caveats aside, it's 2 spills per 100 miles is the state sort of average. That's a target worth.
So that'd be 4.
And that would be 4 for us because
Yep.
we have a 200-mile system. So we're creeping ever closer.
If I can point out, the reason I mentioned page 97
Oh, yeah.
is because the difference is, and really next year, maybe we should put the second chart on, is it has the amount of gallons.
Mhm.
And so, 4,971 was 23-24. 4,299 was the year before. 232,490 was 18-19. So, 3.682 gallons in 20. So it's really, if you look at this, it's not just the numbers, but it's the size. So
Yeah. And, all full disclosure, if you go back to page 95, this last year we had a large spill.
yeah, yep.
From a volume standpoint, but it wasn't a large spill from an environmental impact standpoint. So all these things do need a little context. This was actually technically damaged by others. If you look at the graph, this is on spills by cause. This was due to point loading on our shallow force main, where there was a shipping container and concrete that was creating force on it, and then when we filled up that pipe, it came out. So and we got a plan to fix it. But it also occurred during a very high storm event on the heel of 4 days of consecutive rainfall. And so the strength of the wastewater was very diluted, and the area was very high with runoff, and there weren't environmental indicators of degradation. We do sampling, and it returned back to background within 2 days.
And it wasn't just a shipping container that was put on top of our pipe, but it was filled, a shipping container that was filled.
That's right.
So-
Full of stuff. And there was a concrete slab and a concrete post hole that was poured against the force main. And so all that pressure was just pushing on our pipe.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I appreciate that context, Board Member Kelly. It's you got to look at the whole picture, and generally the volumes are much down compared to, say, 10 years ago when there were a lot more wet weather spills. But thanks to your support, and even, we'll credit previous staff that worked here, got the capital program up and running and did an accelerated program. We're not having the wet weather spill events that we used to have in the late 20th century and then the early part of this century. Good. Yeah, let's see, just real quick. There's some other stories, pipe repair reliability. we had a little bit of a uptick in pipe repair failures the last few years. And it's really nice to see that come back down to average. And I think, we went diligently back and looked at the quality of our repairs and went back and addressed them and have a better, I think there was a bad batch of epoxy, that kind of thing, that the chemical we were using was suboptimal, and we've gone back and really addressed that and have a much better pipe failure rate this year. So that shows this diligent commitment to excellence from our pipe repair crew and our condition assessment crew. Yeah, and then when it comes to summary of pipe restored and lateral replacements, those are just ongoing tallies that frankly are kind of fun to talk about because we're at 92 miles of either restored or replaced pipe in the last, 13 years. That's getting close to half the system. And then our lateral replacements now have crested 82 miles.
Which is
which
not
is-
quite half, but it's getting there.
Yeah, and we think there's about 200 miles. We don't have as exact estimate on our lateral length, but it's probably close to the main length of 200 miles. So, the progress continues. So thanks for the opportunity to present some of the highlights of the metrics report. And I'm always available to discuss things that look a little funny. You've done a good job in the past of pointing things out, like why is that trend going up? And we like to explore those things and understand, the actions and the factors that are behind these numbers.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item, I'm sorry, are we accepting? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move we accept.
Is there actually a motion?
I'm
You
not
just
Necessary?
need seconding? I don't even think we need it. Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, consideration of accepting. I move we accept the year-end metrics report for fiscal year 24-25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. Okay, number 13, consideration of an amendment to the general manager's contract, and this is part of the closed session. We have a subcommittee on that, and that is Michael and Tom. So I'm going to turn it over to whoever of those you wish to speak on it.
Well, this is a procedure that we have used for a bunch of years now. And we all filled out a questionnaire, and for the first time ever, he got the highest rating that you can possibly get on all of the matrices that were put together. And so it was glowing, and we're very extremely happy with his performance and his staff. And he gets
The proposal is.
the proposal. When we vote on it,
Before the board.
we are proposing that, give me 1 second here to get this back out.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I'm gonna read it right off
Okay.
of here.
I wrote it down somewhere.
Well, I got the horse's mouth here. The same as everybody else in the organization, a 5% COLA, cost of living adjustment, the same as everybody else here. He's very special, but not in that way. So his current salary is $323,604. His new salary, which is 5% more, is $339,784. A merit bonus of 5% of his 2025 salary comes out to $16,180, and a 1-year contract extension added to what he's got currently. And we're very happy. Just as a note, we have hired a legal counsel to talk about employment, and just to make sure that all of our contracts here are up to date and best practice. He's going through that, and if we need to make any change to that, everybody here has agreed that we'll go ahead and make the changes. And if we need to, we'll report back. So I move that we accept this. And
I'll second.
Thank you to the committee for the work and thank you to Steve for leading a great organization. And to Felicia and other support for his ability to do so. It's a team effort. And Paul and Christina.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Informational items, monthly operations matrix.
14.
Yes, I'd like Paul Brummer, Operation and Maintenance Manager, to present this month's monthly metrics report.
Good evening, everybody. President Kelly, distinguished board, council, and staff. Thank you all for your time tonight. We heard a lot about a lot of good metrics, but I'm going to fulfill this last month's highlights. Staff received harassment prevention training, which is a little different than harassment training, as we've gone over recently a lot. Harassment prevention training promotes respect, appropriate workplace conduct, and positive workplace culture. It also ensures legal compliance and helps prevent harassment by raising awareness. Very important, you know, as our field is not always the, you know, a lot of workers in the street, a lot of gruff guys sometimes. So it's really good to cover these policies and make sure everybody's aware that we're treating everybody the right way and making sure we're covering all our bases and everybody's treated correctly and fairly. The pump crew responded to, we had a lot of multiple inconsistent alarms at pump station 34. They were happening at different times of the day, different times at night. We couldn't really figure it out. So staff conducted a series of tests. They unwired pumps. They hooked it to other pumps to feel it all out and figure out where the faults were coming from, and traced it to a motor starter. This is what when the PLC or the floats tell the pump to run, is what latches in and actually makes that pump run. So it was weak and kind of getting burned out. So we traced it down and got that fixed. And then there was a couple other little portable water issues, a backflow failure at pump station 12, which is really important because if the pump station sewage just starts going, if there's a loss in pressure on the water line, the sewage can actually make it back and into the drinking water. So it's really important to maintain those and make sure they're working properly. Line maintenance successfully removed a contractor snake cable from a sewer system. This was over off of Oak Spring Road in Oak Spring Drive, excuse me, in San Anselmo. We used one of our hybrid nozzles with the big cutter blades. We're able to twist it up and pull it back, preventing another blockage in the system. Thankfully, you know, that's really important. Why we talk with Steve and everybody and Felicia and Christina really work on these business breakfasts.
Yep.
Making sure we're talking with these plumbers to let us know if they lose something, call us. Don't just go, and run away from their job or whatnot. So it's really important because we've seen it multiple times. I don't know how many, even in the 4 years I've been here, we've pulled at least 5 or 6 out of the system already. So it was a good catch and really.
Do you know what house that came from, or is it just on the street somewhere?
25 Oak Spring Drive.
Okay. So you know who's responsible for not reporting it.
We'll look at their lateral from the inside and see what's going on over there, because the snakes don't show up for no reason. And hopefully just
Well, I mean,
lateral.
the point is, and you don't have to say the address in public, but just say, yeah, but you could talk to the homeowner. It's not the homeowner, it's the homeowner's vendor.
Yeah.
And say, you know, we just want to talk to them and say, look, we're not going to punish, but call us.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a great point. I'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
That's something actually we've been talking about with the CCTV crew, and I'll get to that in a second. But a lot of service calls when we're getting public lateral sewer discharges. We're kind of working to, I think we're going to follow up on those and actually go TV those lines and look and see what's going on with these people's laterals to help alleviate this in the future and really kind of get down to the heart of what's going on in that system and the people's laterals at that time. So hopefully cut down on some of the public sewer lateral calls.
Oh, yeah, private sewer lateral.
Yes, private, sorry. And then staff performing line maintenance in the easement of 71 Deer Hollow Road. Discovered a compromised pipe just right below one of our manholes on the verge of failure. We've been working really hard and appreciate the funds and the assistance with the easement clearing. It's really been helping staff get in and really evaluate our systems in these easements. And it's just really a clear example of the importance of regular infrastructure inspection and walking the easements to make sure that we're visually looking at our system and make sure, another 6 months, we probably would have had a spill there or something for sure. So it was good catch. Staff jumped on it, supervisor review, and are making a repair. Repair crew did 23 point repairs and 14 manhole rehabilitations. As we get into wet weather, some of these may be dropping down a little bit. We'll be shifting resources a little bit for wet weather. But the repair crew is definitely out there working hard and digging up some systems. We'll be switching the repair crew to more I&I focused repairs if we're seeing stuff in manholes and that kind of thing. And then in the condition assessment, staff responded to 8 service calls across the district, ended up dedicating 42 hours of staff time. One of these private sewer lateral discharges, which was up off of Crescent in San Anselmo, was very time consuming. It's actually a really long lateral. I think I told you guys before. It runs down off of Idelia, runs down the hill, across the street, through the neighbor's house to the following yard. So we spent a good 2 days out there really researching it, working with the neighbors, cleaning it up, making sure we had all the right steps, and actually locating the house. It took us 2 days just to locate the house where the sewage was coming from because it was so far away. We were dye testing all the neighbors. We were working with everybody in the neighborhood. So it was very time consuming. We also responded to a noisy manhole.
Noisy manhole?
Yeah. So when we're cleaning, sometimes after the staff are done, they pull the manhole, they'll wash off the rim and cover. And if they don't sit right, when cars drive over,
They bang a bang.
the cling clang, and so we'll go out and put the shutout, the water sealer we're putting on there, or we have
Hercules Shutout
yeah.
is the name of the product. Yeah.
So we'll use that. There's also another, it's a tar filled like rope we can use. It's called Rappo. And it basically just seals the manhole.
Okay.
So. And then we had a couple odor complaints, and we had one non-district water issue, which was a stormwater, a water leak off of irrigation issue. Unfortunately, we did have one Cat 4 spill. It was
45. Was it?
45? 41 gallons. Up off of Hillcrest Lane in Kentfield. It was due to roots. It's a easement line, pretty shallow. So we're going to end up actually digging that line up and repairing this just to make sure it's done. It was a really large root, and we don't want a chance patching it and have the root bust through or find its way back in. So we're going to dig that line up and make a repair in there.
Okay.
That's all I have for you. If there's any questions or if you guys want to.
It's a great report.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to tell you that despite what it says here, the next meeting will not be on October 15th. It should be on November 18th, but I also see a conflict in my calendar that we're in Monterey on the 19th. Is that right?
19th. Yeah.
So when does the Monterey thing start?
Director Meggs and Director Kelly will be coming back that day from the SDLF governance training.
Okay. Okay. So then we're on for the November 18th at 5 p.m.
19th. Sorry.
19th?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Wednesday, the 19th. Yeah.
Let me just look at my calendar because I just put it in wrong. So I'll make sure I have mine right. You're correct. Thank you very much.
All right.
And that's with that, we're adjourned.